Hello everyone, we are reaching the end of our nonverbal communication and interpretation unit. So sad. Well, as you may recall, we have been reading The Martian by Andy Weir, where Mark Watney is a man who's stranded on Mars and has to think outside of the box in order to not only survive the hostile environment of Mars with very little resources, but he also has to figure out how to communicate with NASA and other people on Earth so that A, they know he's alive, and B, they can work out how to get him way back from Mars all the way back to Earth. It's a really good story, at least I think, and it has great music in the movie. Alright, so as we've been reading about Mark Watney's journey, we've kind of looked at other ways to communicate without words, because as we see here, what would Mark Watney do? WWMDW, or MWD. Mark Watney used various ways to communicate with NASA, because he couldn't just type them a message or send them a video or phone call them. So at first, if you recall, he used a camera with hexadecimal codes so that they could speak in code to each other without him needing to use the full range of the alphabet because it wouldn't have worked with the camera. Additionally, they used satellite pictures to kind of keep track of him, which, although he couldn't communicate directly with them, they could use them to keep an eye on him and see how he was doing. Additionally, Mark Watney would eventually take a vehicle that they use on Mars and recode it so that it could allow him to talk to NASA. Basically, the whole concept is thinking outside the box. So what we've kind of learned throughout the project is the importance of visual things like pictures, so using emojis or hieroglyphs or symbols. The importance of audio, so how music makes messages change, or how sound effects are used to make things like cartoons seem more realistic. And additionally, we talked about context. So for like Mark Watney, when he used hexadecimal codes, he knew that his audience was full of NASA engineers, people who are like really into computer science, which for the most of us who aren't, we might know nothing about hexadecimal codes. You might have not have even heard about it before this, and you might never hear about them again. So he knew that his audience, however, would have an idea of what those were and would maybe remember them. So using that knowledge, he was able to find a way to connect it with NASA that worked for him. So now that we have Mark Watney's journey ending, I have a surprise for you. We have an incoming mission from NASA itself. Here's what NASA has sent us. Greetings from NASA. You have been tasked with creating an instructional video or other electronic data file to explain how to perform a skill. Unfortunately, due to constraints, you will not be able to use words, no speaking or writing. After what you have learned, we are confident in your ability to overcome the language barriers. So, the project that we will be working on together is that you guys will be split into groups of 5 or less. Yes, I will allow you guys to choose your friends if you'd like, but I would encourage you to work with other people you're not so used to working with. So, well, in your groups, you guys will be making a video or some other recording that's under 10 minutes in length, and you're going to use digital technology to do so. And your video must contain the steps to complete a skill using both visual and audio cues. So that skill can be something as simple like how to boil an egg. You know, first you take the egg and then you put it in water, but first you have to boil the water, and you know, there's steps that need to be done. And your video needs to be able to use these steps to teach somebody else how to use, or how to do the skill, how to complete the skill. And then your project, once you guys are done, it needs to be submitted to our class website on Sunday by 10 p.m. at the latest, so that we can air it in class on Monday and watch things together. So, we have a schedule. So today, we'll be forming groups, and you'll be submitting an idea for the skill you want to teach for me to approve it. The reason I want to see your skill before you get like super into it is because I want to see that it's something that's going to be doable. I mean, you won't be able to teach something like how to speak in Chinese in probably under 10 minutes. But, you know, doing something like how to use a jump rope, that might be something that you can do. Just make sure that you're conscious of how much work it's going to take and the time limit that you have. After we get all that done today, you can start working on it, and then tomorrow you can also continue working on it, but basically I kind of want you to get your plan together and an idea of what you plan on doing for your project, how it will go, what will be the video, what will be the audio, what will be, etc. The purpose of that is that so on Wednesday we can all get together and talk about our projects. Basically, I want you to work with another group and give each other feedback. So that way you guys can determine that there might be issues with your project, or maybe there's something you didn't think about, and another group that has no idea about your project can offer a fresh perspective. And that's also kind of why I would suggest you guys work with other people, because if you work with friends and you are all on the same wavelength, it'll be easier for you guys to miss things. It'll be easier for you to miss the message isn't being understood by somebody else who isn't on your same wavelength. Alright, so then after you get that feedback, I want you to take that feedback and apply it to your project to improve it. I want you to work some more so that on Friday, hopefully, you'll be able to finish the project in class and then submit it to the class website. I will allow you guys to take the project home and then work on it over the weekend, if you want to do that, and then that way you can work on it on Saturday and Sunday and finish it and submit it to the site by 10 on Sunday, or you can just have the weekend to chill, whatever. And then on Monday, we are going to watch everybody's projects, and we can bring food, have a nice movie party. Just remember to follow allergy guidelines. We don't need anybody having a severe allergic reaction to peanuts or mint. Alright, so one thing that you might be concerned about is how it's going to be graded. So here's kind of the basics. First of all, I just want to make sure that you are going to teach a skill. You're consciously aware of the visual aspects of it, the audio aspects of it, and that you listen to feedback from your audience. So kind of a rough thing is that we want the skill to be, make sure that people can understand what skill you're trying to teach and that it's easy to follow. We want to make sure that you take visuals into consideration for how you're teaching it, that you use audio to either make it better or to enhance your project. And I also want to make sure that you're not only taking feedback from the group, but that you use it to make it better, to make your message more understandable to your audience. Because after everybody presents, I want to be able to hear from the audience that they understood the message. They weren't really confused, that they think that they could do the skill after seeing you teach it. So, I should have mentioned that there will be a handout that you guys will be able to take home that will tell you the prompt, the instructions, and we'll have the grading criteria in much more specifics. We're going to be doing the level 0 to 3, so level 0, obviously, basically it's just if you didn't do the project. 1 is 2 points, you did some work but it wasn't to the best of your ability. Level 2 is that you did really good, it was decent ability, and level 3 is exemplary work. You did a great job, great visuals, great audio, everything's wonderful. So it's out of 12. And then, just to make sure, no group issues, we will have a reflection at a later point in time so that we can talk about individual feedback and grades. Alright, so back to this. The learning objectives of this unit are all about our 21st century digital fluencies. If you remember, we went over them, and this unit focuses mainly on the innovative designer fluency and the creative communicator fluency. So by the end of this project, you should be able to say, I can use alternative ways to communicate. I can use digital tools to create a message. I can work with a group to create original ideas. I can solve open-ended problems, and I can understand how others may view my messages. These are all wonderful things to put on a resume at a later point in time. Alright, so as you do your project, I'm going to suggest you use a certain technology. So this is an app called Animatica. It's a free Windows video editor for those of you who are doing video. If you're going to do something else, we can talk about that and find a better software that works for you. But for those of you who plan on just doing a video, I recommend this one because it's really simple. It kind of copies Instagram and that way of doing things, so it might be more familiar to you. So when you open it up, you get this nice little screen. And the best way to start your project is to click New Project. When you do that, it pops up with a project name. And for my project, I'm just going to say how to use a fidget spinner, if you all remember those from way back when. And the aspect ratio, basically that just means what kind of sized screen you want to use. For now, I'm just going to put widescreen, which is like perfect for YouTube and all that, and I might change it later. So now that I have a name and an aspect ratio, I can click Create Project. And it starts with nothing, because obviously I haven't added anything yet. So I'm going to add something. I'm going to add a picture first. When I click Add Clips, I get 3 options. I can add video or photo clips, add a color clip, or make a video or photo with a webcam. Right now, I'm just going to add a color clip. What that gives me the chance to do is make like a title. So I'm going to use pink because I like pink. And then I'm just going to click back. Or if I wanted to, I could also do gradient, and I could choose different gradients, and then I could change the light source so it all moves around. Really funky. Alright, so back to solid color. Pink. Alright, so once I've done, I click back, and the best thing about this is that it saves automatically. So if I closed out of this right now, I could open it back to where I started right here. So that's great. You don't have to think about saving. Alright, so now that I have this color clip, the one thing that I want to do is I want to make it longer. So right now it says 4 seconds. I can usually use the slider or type in a number there to make it longer. If I wanted to split it, I could say, oh, I want to split it right in the middle and add a picture. So I could put right there at 2 seconds and 4 milliseconds, and I click split. And that way I have 2 seconds there and 2 seconds there. Gives me a lot of free time. And then if I wanted to duplicate it, I would just click duplicate and it just copies it. So 2 seconds again, 2 seconds there. But if I wanted to undo that, I have 2 options. I can either click it and click delete, or I can do the undo button, which is up here in the right. Click undo, it goes away, and if I wanted it back, click redo. Fun times. Alright, so now that I've added stuff, I can add audio, so it means I can add music that's free on Automatica. I can do a voiceover. I can add like music that I have on my computer, and it plays nicely in the background. So let's say I just choose like one of these. I can either choose a file here, but it'll be in the background. And you can only have up to like 5 of those, I believe. So you want to make sure you're not using too much audio or too much music. Same goes for overlays. Overlays would be like I can insert text or like a logo or stickers, and then I can choose how long they're going to be. So let's say I chose, I don't know, Ninja. I can choose how long it's going to be. I can choose it goes the whole thing, or I can choose it to show up in the last few seconds there. And then I can change, you know, I can flip it, change the color, change the font color if I was going to do text, but you shouldn't be using text in this project, etc. I have a lot of options. So I'm going to go back. One thing I also can do is right here in this middle where there's X, I can do transitions. So kind of like Windows Media or PowerPoint, you have the different options, and it shows you like what kind of options they are. Opacity, if it's fade to black, you can change the transmission by dragging the slider. Pretty easy. So I'm just going to use I'm going to use opacity. Oh wait, it's a quick switch. Alright. So let's say that's not enough. I'm going to add a video. So for video, I can click right here and click Add Video or Photo Clips, which will take me to this. Here's a picture, or here's a video of my cat playing with a fidget spinner. It is 2 minutes long, which is a really long time. So I'm going to trim it. So let's say I want to trim it from here. So I can either choose trim from start or trim from end. I'm going to choose trim from end, which means everything after this circle is cut. So I'll go click, and there. Much shorter video, 22 seconds. And if I wanted to split it right here, because I wanted to add another color thing, or color block, I can click split, and then I can drag this over. Or I can add another one by clicking this plus sign and adding stuff. Basically, you get a lot of options. And you can even deal with volume too. It's pretty simple to use once you start working with it. And at the end, I just click Save Video. I can choose different resolutions, but right now I'm just going to click Save As. Save it as there in this spot, and click Save, and then let it render. Rendering just means it's uploading itself. And since it's a pretty short video, it's going to take a really small amount of time. See? And I can say whether I like the application or not. Well, that was a little bit. So, I hope that this video kind of gives you a rough idea of how to use Automatica so that you can kind of play around with it on your own. But otherwise, you can also use other things too if you'd like. I guess that's it. Good luck on your projects, and I look forward to seeing whatever you create. Take care.